First of all, I want to give a warm welcome to our School of Nursing family and friends, our faculty, our staff, and our students who took the time to come this morning. I know it was a late notice, so we are also recording this and sharing it with those that couldn't join this morning, especially many of our graduate students who might be working in the practice setting this morning. So before we get started, I do want to acknowledge that while we have Carolina blue skies here in Chapel Hill, our friends and family members on the East Coast are experiencing the hurricane. So if we could keep them in our thoughts and prayers as well, that would be much appreciated. So we're here today to acknowledge the horrific, tragic event that was senseless that occurred on Monday, an act of violence that caused and resulted in the loss of a friend and a colleague, Dr. Yen. This has really touched the heart of the Carolina community and certainly the Carolina nursing community. Such a senseless, violent act in a place that is beloved, a place that should be safe, a place where learning occurs, where experimentation occurs, and where we support one another so lovingly, so steadfastly. This hurts, and I need to say that. I need to say, ouch. It really does hurt. And I'm sure many of you are experiencing the emotions that I'm experiencing, and we're going to talk about ways that we can get through this together. First of all, amidst the hurt and the emotions, I do want to express my gratitude to so many. First, to the university for getting that alert out so quickly that prevented additional tragedy from occurring. I want to thank this community of faculty and staff and students that protected one another and supported one another and kept us safe during those 3 hours of lockdown. Lockdown that was occurring both on campus and off campus. The lockdown I heard about our groups in ISIL and ITS Manning, faculty, staff, students, simulation supporters who were huddled together in ISIL. I know that there were people huddled here at Carrington. Many of you were alone in your offices and in your units, and I can imagine the fear that you were experiencing, the fear of the unknown as that was going on. I do know that we had students in the community setting who were also fearful of what was happening on their beloved campus. So whether or not you were here physically on campus or not, we had a shared sense of community, of concern, of fear for one another. And I can only imagine thinking of the role of parent. Parents who may have been here, knowing that their children were under lockdown as well, if they were in schools in the Chapel Hill area. Parents of our students who were here on lockdown, many of them in dorms, in other classrooms across campus, supporting one another, and perhaps even having difficulty communicating with one another. I am a parent as well, and I have experienced that fear of the unknown, terrifying, unexplainable. And for those students here, those fears of your children's safety never go away, no matter how old you are or where you are. I know my experience being locked down in our dean's office with Safe and Jennifer and Miriam, Lisa, Cheryl, Yvonne, and Robin. Some of us know each other very well, others do not. And it was that crisis that allowed us to learn about one another and support one another. And I'm grateful that we were able to do that because all of us brought a different perspective to that situation. So if I have to think about perhaps a ray of sunshine that can come from crisis, it's this sense of a stronger community and learning from one another. I also want to thank the university for sharing resources, continual resources, message upon message that came through almost immediately, Tuesday and Wednesday. The university opening up its doors for counseling sessions for faculty, staff, and students. I urge you to use those resources if you feel like you need them. There is nothing proud about saying, I can do this alone, I don't need help. We know from our profession and from one another that we have to rely on those professional resources in addition to the support of one another. I also experienced all the emotions that perhaps you were feeling as well: grief, sorrow, despair, anger, fear. These feelings are shared by all of us, whether you're faculty, staff, student, leader, administrator, the chancellor, the provost. We were all feeling those fears. We are all human. And so I want us to think about that and give grace to all of us, including our leaders, for what we experienced. I also want to give thanks and gratitude to our cabinet leadership, the associate deans of the School of Nursing, who met yesterday and said, how can we support this community as we return to usual operations today that will feel nothing like usual operations, or will feel nothing like normal operations. We talked about the things that we can do immediately, which is today. So today we have our leaders here at ITS Manning and at the AOB. We have snacks and refreshments to bring people together, to strengthen our community, and to support coming back to the learning environment. We are also going to do this again with our other groups of students who don't have classes at 9 o'clock this morning and who will be coming in later today and also tomorrow. We're here for you. We want to support you as you come back into Carrington Hall and our other places. And as I think about this tremendous tragedy, and I think about the family of Dr. Yen and the sorrow that they're experiencing as well, and there really is nothing to give reason or understanding to this. I think about the vigil that we went to, some of us went to last night, that they held at the Smith Center. What a strong showing of the strength of this Carolina community. Many of us know how large the Smith Center is. That Smith Center was packed with faculty, staff, and students who came to honor the career of a colleague whose life was taken much too short, much earlier than expected. And that was beautiful. And as I think about the tremendous emotion that I feel today, it reminds me of why we feel this emotion, and it's because of the tremendous love that we have for this campus and that we have for one another. And that love is what I saw last night. It's what I see here this morning. It's what I've heard again and again and again. And that's going to help get us through. We've been through difficult situations in the past. One of the most difficult recently, the pandemic in March of 2020. And we learned a lot through that. We learned that guiding principles will help us return, will help us get back into the learning environment, Some of those guiding principles are that nursing is a practice profession. It involves experiences, experiential learning. And in order to prepare the nurse of the future at all levels, we need practice experiences. We can't do this on Zoom exclusively. We need to have that practice. We've also learned and remembered that because of that, we all teach in different environments. And so we have to support those people teaching in those different environments, whether it's in the classroom, the simulation setting, or the clinical setting. And we also know that nursing in and of itself is a profession that has risks. We've always known this. This is why we have bloodborne pathogen training. This is why we have sharps containers. This is why we have teams of people to help us care for the most vulnerable patients. And how do we manage those risks? We use it with evidence and procedures in place to mitigate those risks. So that being said, coming back today with all of those emotions that are going on, fear, sorrow, grief, we have put in place some things that will help to mitigate those risks. Our emergency safety plans that are posted in the back of every classroom, we walk by them every day. We need to look at them. Monday was a solemn reminder that they are here. We will be reviewing them. Even though at this point in time it may be difficult, we still need to do that. We absolutely must do that. The university has sent us some teaching resources yesterday. Faculty, instructors, staff who are teaching our students and supporting our students. Students, you could look at these resources as well. Wonderful resources for how do you re-enter the learning environment after a tragedy. How do we acknowledge that? How do we understand that everyone is in a different place? And that all of us are bringing those experiences, our past life experiences, to that moment. And we're all going to experience them differently. We need to once again give each other grace, forgiveness, and just reassure people and acknowledge that we're taking those steps and coming back. You know, we have a new strategic plan. And the name of that plan is Leading with Light. Lead with Light. That was just launched 2 weeks ago. Never did I think that that plan and the words that we created together as a community would resonate and be so meaningful right now. When our group was talking about light, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about what light means. It means optimism. It means hope. We have light after dark periods. It means transparency. We talked about the description or the use of a lighthouse. And what does a lighthouse mean? A lighthouse is a beacon of safety. It's safe harbor. We talked about Carolina nursing being that beacon, being that lighthouse, not only supporting the people that are here, but also supporting those who may have left Carolina nursing and know that they always have a safe place to come back to when needed. And that would be our very, very important alumni who are here as well and who have reached out to us and offered their support. So while we are a family here, our family extends far beyond this Chapel Hill campus into our alumni family. Our vision, Carolina nurses lead the profession and improve lives through the public good. Lead, once again, there is that word, lead. A leader is far beyond words and thoughts. A leader takes action. All of us are leaders. Yes, some of us have formal leadership titles, but we are preparing leaders. We are welcoming leaders as we take the next step in our education. Leaders as scientists, as educators, as innovators, clinicians, as nurses. I think about the values that we identified and agreed upon courage, commitment, compassion, community, collaboration, and curiosity. I call them the 6 C's. And I still have to read them, to remember them. But soon I will have those committed to memory as well. But think of those words and how they resonate with what we're going through now. The first 2 being courage and commitment. Commitment to our school, commitment to our patients, to our profession. So these words, our strategic plan, have never been more important than they are today. And I'm so thankful that we have that document to help us through this period. So as we return to operations that may not feel quite normal, I offer grace and compassion to all of you, and I hope that you are extending that same grace, compassion, and forgiveness to our community as well and to others. Our faculty will begin resuming those learning activities at 9 o'clock today. Many of those activities are online. While we have guidance on how to resume those activities, we also need the support of one another. Every situation is different and everyone is prepared differently. Yes, we have resources. Yes, we are going to be vulnerable. We are going to lead, and we need the support of everyone. Please, I'm going to say once again, we are here to support one another, to offer peer support this morning. But please know the resources of the university have been sent by many, many people through email yesterday. I do believe there's also a website that the university has created to also identify those resources. Debriefing. The university has already started that. What went well? What could have gone better? And if this happens again, what will we do differently? We know that this has to happen. Yes, we kept our community safe, but how could we improve on that experience? That has already started. I urge us today to support one another. That's what we're here for, to talk and have community and fellowship. Those answers, those improvements will come, and we've already started to work on them. If you have suggestions, I always welcome suggestions. So please send them my way. Next week, we have invited some experts to come in and meet with our community and talk about the incident and how we can support one another moving forward. So please be alert for an announcement about that. And for all of us, if we look around us, if we look to see who's on the screen, please make sure that we're reaching out to one another. It's not one person's responsibility to ensure the health and safety of this community. It really is all of us. And so watch out for one another. Look up from your devices, from your computers, from your studies, from your work. Take a walk down the hall and see who is there and see who might need a word of encouragement. Finally, I know that we will survive this incident. We're not only going to survive, we will thrive just as we have in the past. We will come together. We are a community that cares. We will remember courage, commitment, compassion, community, collaboration, and curiosity. We are Carolina Strong, and we are Carolina Nursing. So thank you for coming today. That is the end of my remarks. I urge us now to continue to gather with one another. We can gather in here, we can gather outside. I do know that at 9 o'clock classes will be resuming, so we want to be mindful of that. I want to thank all of you for your heroic efforts on Monday, your efforts to keep everyone safe on Monday, and I want to thank you for your commitment to Carolina nursing. Thank you.